There's a power inside you that the world is not ready to see. When I say that, I'm not speaking in riddles or trying to sound mystical. I mean it in the most literal way. Deep inside you, there's a frequency, a living, breathing current of energy so profound that if you could see it with your own eyes, it would take your breath away. It's the same energy that moves the oceans, that turns the planets, that orchestrates the rise and fall of entire civilizations, and you carry it inside of you, every single day, often without realizing it. But here's the thing, most people will never see it. Not because it isn't there, but because they're too busy looking at the masks you've been taught to wear. You see, from the moment you were born, the world began shaping you, molding you into something that fit its rules. Maybe you were taught to be quiet when your heart wanted to speak. Maybe you were told to be realistic when your soul longed to dream. Slowly, bit by bit, you learned to dim your light so you wouldn't scare anyone with how bright you really are. You learned to play roles: the good child, the loyal friend, the perfect worker, until sometimes even you forgot who you were beneath all those masks. And yet, despite everything, you're still here. You've walked through storms that should have broken you. You've faced nights so long and heavy that the morning felt like it would never come. And still, somehow, you rose. That isn't an accident. That isn't just survival. It is preparation. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every time you felt lost or alone, none of it was random. These moments were the universe shaping you, like a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble to reveal the masterpiece inside. While you thought you were falling apart, you were actually being forged into something unshakable, something vast and limitless. Think about it this way. A river doesn't become calm and clear by fighting against the rocks and branches in its path. It becomes clear when it learns to flow, when it surrenders to the current of life itself. That's what you've been learning all along: how to stop forcing, how to stop clinging, and how to allow. The world has told you to shrink, to doubt yourself, to question your instincts. But somewhere deep inside, you've always known there's more to you than meets the eye. There's a whisper that never goes away, a quiet voice saying, "You are more than this. You are more than they've told you. I want you to hear me now. You are not broken. You are not small. You are not a mistake. The storms you've endured were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to awaken you. They were the pressure that turned you from coal into a diamond. And now, as you stand here, right where you are, you hold within you a kind of strength that can transform not just your own life, but the lives of everyone you touch. When you begin to live from this truth, everything shifts. You start to see that your worth doesn't come from what others think of you, or what roles you play, or what you achieve. It comes from the simple, unshakable fact that you exist, that you are an expression of something infinite moving through a finite form. And here's the beautiful part: once you recognize that truth, you no longer need to hide. You no longer need to keep pretending to be small just to make other people comfortable. The masks can fall away. The roles can be released. And for the first time, you can meet yourself, the real you, in the mirror. This moment, right here, is an invitation to step into the fullness of who you are, to stop apologizing for your light, and to start living as the magnificent being you've always been. The world may not be ready for your power, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you are ready, ready to rise, ready to shine, ready to remember that the storms didn't break you, they built you. And now, the world will finally see what you've known all along. You were never ordinary. You were extraordinary, and you still are. 1. The hidden doorways of life's challenges. There are moments in life that feel like the ground beneath you has been pulled away. Times when you've stood in the middle of a storm, clutching at pieces of yourself, wondering why everything you thought was solid has suddenly crumbled. Loss, betrayal, failure. They arrive, uninvited, often when you least expect them, and they leave you gasping for air. When these moments come, it's so easy to believe you've been cursed, punished, or abandoned. It's natural to ask, why me? Or, what did I do to deserve this? I've asked those questions myself, in nights so dark that even breathing felt like an act of defiance. But with time and a lot of pain, I began to see the truth. These challenges were never punishments. They were doorways, hidden entrances leading to a deeper part of myself I couldn't have reached any other way. The universe wasn't trying to break me. It was trying to open me. Loss was my first teacher. When someone or something I loved was taken from me, my heart shattered. At first, all I could feel was the emptiness, the hollow ache of absence. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, I began to understand. Loss was showing me the art of letting go. It was teaching me that nothing external truly belongs to me. Not people, not places, not even the roles I play. When I learned to release what no longer fit the path of my soul, I discovered a freedom I didn't know I was searching for. Letting go didn't mean I stopped loving. It meant I loved without chains. Then came betrayal. Few things cut as deeply as realizing someone you trusted has turned away from you or against you. Betrayal is a fire that burns from the inside out. It leaves you questioning everything: your choices, your worth, even your own perception of reality. I used to think betrayal was proof that the world was cruel. Now I see it differently. Betrayal was my initiation into inner trust. It forced me to turn inward, to listen to the quiet voice I'd been ignoring. It taught me that while people may falter, my intuition is a compass that never lies. When the outer world falls apart, the inner world becomes my refuge, my guide, my home. And then there was failure. Oh, how I feared it. I built my life around avoiding mistakes, around trying to be perfect, thinking that if I did everything right, I would finally feel safe. But life has a way of humbling us, of showing us that control is just an illusion. My failures were brutal at first. They made me want to disappear, to hide in shame. But over time, I realized something profoundly liberating. My worth is not tied to my success. It's not about the outcome. It's about my willingness to keep standing, to keep walking, to keep choosing to begin again. No matter how many times I fall, looking back, I can see how all these moments, the loss, the betrayal, the failure, were woven together like threads in a tapestry I couldn't yet understand. At the time, they felt random and cruel. Now, I see they were meticulously designed to shape me into someone stronger, wiser, and more whole. You see, we often think we're just surviving, just trying to make it through another day. But what's really happening is something far more sacred. We are being forged, like iron in the fire, like diamonds under pressure. Every hardship is a chisel, carving away the false selves we've built to survive in a world that asked us to be smaller. I used to believe life was happening to me. Now I understand life is happening for me, and, perhaps most importantly, through me. Each challenge I faced was a question from the universe. Will you let this close you? Or will you allow it to open you for a long time? I chose to close. I built walls. I numbed my feelings. I wore my masks even tighter. But walls don't keep out the pain. They keep out the healing. And so, eventually, I made a different choice. I began to see every trial as a secret passageway, every heartbreak as a key, every failure as a map pointing me towards something I couldn't yet see. And in that moment, something shifted. I stopped being a victim of my circumstances and became a student of my soul. If you're listening to this right now, maybe you're standing in the rubble of something that once felt unshakable. Maybe you're wondering how you'll ever find your way back. I want you to know this: you're not just surviving. You're being prepared. The path may feel harsh and unrelenting, but one day, you'll look back and see that each challenge was a hidden doorway, leading you closer to the truth of who you really are. And that truth is unbreakable. 2. Quantum intuition, the gift of expanded awareness. There comes a point in life when pain stops being just pain, and suffering stops being just suffering. It becomes a mirror, reflecting back to you the deepest truths about who you are and what you are capable of. When you've walked through enough darkness, something remarkable begins to happen. Your awareness sharpens, your senses deepen, and you start to feel the subtle movements of life in ways you never could before. It's as if every challenge you faced has been quietly preparing you for this, carving out space within you so that you can hold more light, more clarity, more knowing. I call this quiet gift quantum intuition. It isn't something you read about in books or study in a classroom. It's born from experience, from the fires you've survived, from the times you thought you'd reached your limit, but somehow found the strength to keep going. This kind of intuition isn't just about making quick decisions or having a gut feeling. It's deeper than that. So deep, it almost feels like the world is speaking directly to you. Not with words, but with energy. With quantum intuition, you begin to see possibilities that others overlook. In situations where most people only see problems, you sense hidden openings, like cracks in a wall where light is breaking through. You notice patterns that others miss, and you feel the subtle shifts in direction, long before they become obvious. You also start to feel vibrations that others cannot detect. When you walk into a room, you don't just see the furniture or hear the conversations. You sense the energy beneath it all, the unspoken emotions, the silent agreements, the undercurrents of tension or harmony. It's like hearing the music that plays behind the words, a song that most people are too distracted to notice. And perhaps most importantly, this expanded awareness gives you the ability to discern paths of expansion from paths of contraction. You begin to know, without having to logically explain it, which choices will lead you toward growth, freedom, and deeper connection, and which ones will pull you back into limitation and fear. It's like standing at a crossroads and instinctively recognizing which road will bring you closer to your true self. But here's the thing about this kind of sensitivity. It can feel incredibly lonely. When you perceive life on a frequency that others can't access, there are times you might feel like a stranger in your own world. People around you may talk about things that seem superficial or meaningless, while you sense something much deeper beneath their words. You might see solutions to problems that others can't even identify yet, and it can be frustrating to witness them struggle when the answer feels so clear to you. I know that isolation well. There were seasons in my life when I questioned my own sanity, wondering if maybe I was imagining it, all the energies, the signals, the quiet knowing. But over time, I came to understand that what felt like a burden was actually a profound gift. It wasn't meant to separate me from others, but to help me guide, to help me heal, to help me create in ways I never thought possible. Think of it like this. Imagine you've been given an extra sense, like a radio tuned to stations that most people can't hear. At first, it's overwhelming. There's so much static, so much noise, and you don't know how to make sense of it. But as you grow, you learn to filter the signals, to trust what you're hearing, and to respond with clarity instead of confusion. That's what quantum intuition feels like, learning to navigate an invisible world with grace. This gift does make you different. Yes, and difference can be hard, especially in a world that worships conformity. But the truth is, the very thing that sets you apart is also what the world needs most. Your ability to sense what others cannot allows you to bridge gaps, to heal unseen wounds, to bring clarity to chaos. It gives you the power to act from a place of profound alignment, to make decisions that ripple outward and create change far beyond what you can see. So, If you've ever felt out of place, misunderstood, or too sensitive, I want you to hear this. You are not broken. You are simply tuned to a frequency that not everyone has access to yet. And while that may feel lonely at times, it also makes you a pioneer, someone who walks ahead, lighting the way for those still learning to see. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It is proof of your connection to something larger than yourself. A reminder that you are part of a vast and intelligent universe that speaks through feeling and vibration. Honor this gift. Trust it, because what you carry inside you has the power to transform not only your own life, but the lives of everyone who crosses your path. 3. True power cannot be learned. It can only be revealed. There are many things in life you can study and practice. You can learn to play an instrument, speak a new language, or master a profession. These skills are beautiful, and they have their place. But the deepest source of power within you that cannot be taught, it is not something you gain from books or earn through external achievements. It is something you uncover, like a hidden spring that has always been flowing beneath the surface, waiting for you to notice it. When you think about it, the world has conditioned us to believe the opposite. From a young age, we are told that strength comes from striving, from working harder, from doing more, from proving ourselves through endless effort. We grow up chasing certificates, titles, and validation, thinking, if I just achieve enough, maybe then I'll finally feel powerful. But that feeling never lasts, does it? Because external strength will always crumble when life shakes the ground beneath you. Real power doesn't live out there, it lives in here. And here's the truth that took me years, even decades, to understand. Life has been preparing you all along to meet that power. The hardships you've carried, the heartbreaks you've endured, the heavy responsibilities that felt like too much for one person. None of these were meaningless. They were the chisels in the sculptor's hands, carving away everything that was false, so that the essence of who you are could finally emerge. Think of a seed buried deep underground. In the darkness, it looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, something extraordinary is taking place. The seed is breaking open. At first, it feels like destruction, like the end of what it once was. But only through that breaking can new life begin. That is what your pain has been doing to you. It has been cracking open the shell of who you thought you were, so that your true self, your unshakable, limitless self can take root and grow. The world may have tried to convince you that you are fragile, small, or powerless. It may have told you that your worth is measured by productivity, appearance, or status. But you are living proof that this is a lie. Because despite everything, here you are still breathing, still rising, still choosing to take the next step. That alone makes you powerful beyond measure. There were moments in my own journey when I felt like I was drowning under the weight of it all. Nights when the grief was so heavy, I wondered if I would ever feel light again. Days when the expectations of others pressed so tightly against my chest, I could barely breathe. I thought my struggles were signs of weakness. But looking back now, I see them differently. They were initiations, passages I had to walk through in order to remember what had been inside me all along. The truth is, no one can give you this inner power, and no one can take it away. It does not come from approval or applause. It rises naturally when you are stripped of everything you thought defined you. It shows itself when you have nothing left to hold on to except your own breath, your own heartbeat, your own presence. Sometimes, people ask me, how do I become strong like that? And I always tell them, you don't become it. You already are it. The journey isn't about adding anything new to yourself. It's about peeling away the layers of conditioning, fear, and false identity that have been hiding your true essence. Your pain has been a messenger, your burdens a catalyst. Every responsibility you've carried, every challenge you've faced, has been leading you back to yourself. not to make you hard or cold, but to reveal the depth of your resilience, the vastness of your heart, and the power of your spirit. So, if you've ever doubted yourself, if you've ever believed the voices that told you you're not enough, take a deep breath right now and remember this: you are not weak. You are not broken. You are not defined by what the world has done to you. You are the living, breathing evidence that human beings are capable of far more than society dares to imagine. Your very existence proves that there is something eternal and unshakable within us all, a force that cannot be destroyed, only revealed. And when you begin to trust that force, to live from it, instead of chasing after external power, you will discover a freedom so profound that no circumstance, no judgment, no obstacle can take it away. You don't need to learn this power. You simply need to remember it, because it has been with you since the very beginning, waiting patiently for the day you are ready to claim it. 4. Balancing the light and the darkness. There's a part of the journey that many of us try to skip, the part where we meet our own darkness. We've been taught to fear it, to hide it away, to pretend it doesn't exist. The world tells us to focus only on love, light, and positivity, as if ignoring the shadows will somehow make them disappear. But in my experience, true strength isn't built by running from the darkness. It's built by turning toward it with open eyes and an open heart. For a long time, I believed that darkness was my enemy. Every painful memory, every fear, every hidden part of me felt like proof that I was broken. So, I did what many of us do. I tried to push it all down. I covered my pain with busyness, with achievements, with smiles that didn't quite reach my eyes. But the truth about shadows is this: they don't vanish just because we refuse to look at them. They wait patiently in the corners of our hearts, whispering, until one day they rise up so loudly we can no longer ignore them. It was only when I finally turned around and faced my darkness that I began to understand the darkness wasn't there to destroy me. It was there to teach me. It was a silent teacher, guiding me to a deeper understanding of myself. Every fear I had avoided held a lesson I needed to learn. Every wound I had tried to hide was a doorway back to my own power. The first time I truly faced my fear, it felt like standing in a burning house. My instinct was to run, but as I stood there, trembling, I realized something profound. Fear loses its grip the moment we look at it directly. When I finally let myself feel it without judgment, without trying to fix it, it began to soften. It began to dissolve, like fog lifting in the morning sun. And with each fear I faced, I reclaimed a piece of my strength that had been scattered and hidden away. This is the paradox of life. Our greatest power often lies in the very places we're most afraid to go. The shadows we run from contain the keys to our freedom. The parts of ourselves we've rejected are the very parts that hold our wholeness. You see, real growth doesn't come from clinging only to the light. If you only embrace your joy, your love, your kindness, while denying your anger, grief, or doubt, you remain incomplete. True healing happens when you allow all of it to exist within you. When you realize you are not just a beam of light, and not just a shadow, but the vast sky that holds both the sunrise and the storm. I used to think being spiritual meant always being calm, peaceful, and radiant, but life has shown me otherwise. Some of my most profound moments of awakening came not during meditation or in moments of bliss, but in the depths of my pain. It was in those raw, messy, uncomfortable places that I discovered the truth of who I am. Balancing light and darkness isn't about becoming perfect or fixing yourself. It's about integration, learning to welcome every part of you home. It's about saying to your anger, "I see you," and to your sadness, "You belong here too." It's about letting your joy and your grief sit at the same table, knowing they are both teachers, both necessary, both sacred. The darkness has shaped me just as much as the light has. My courage didn't come from everything going right. It came from surviving everything that went wrong. My compassion didn't grow from never being hurt. It grew from knowing how it feels to be broken. The love I carry today is deeper because it was forged in the fires of loss and fear. And this is what I want you to understand. You are the totality of all your experiences. You are not just the moments when you shined, but also the moments when you fell apart. Your beauty lies not in being flawless, but in being whole, a living, breathing tapestry of light and shadow, sorrow and joy. When you embrace both sides of yourself, you stop fighting reality. You no longer waste energy pretending to be all light while hiding your pain in the dark. Instead, you stand fully in the truth of who you are, and that truth is liberating. So, the next time you feel fear rising, don't turn away. Pause, breathe, look it in the eye and say, I'm here. I'm listening. Because every time you face your darkness, you reclaim another piece of your soul. And piece by piece, you return to yourself, not just as a fragment of light, but as the whole, luminous being you were always meant to be. 5. 3 principles that transform power into reality. There is a truth we often forget: power, by itself, is not inherently good or bad. It's like raw fire. In the right hands, fire warms a home, cooks a meal, and brings light to the darkness. But left unchecked, it can burn everything to the ground. The same is true for the power that lives inside you. It is vast. It is sacred. But without direction, it can easily become chaos, bursts of energy that leave you exhausted, confused, or even lost. Over the years, I've learned that this inner power needs guidance, like a river guided by its banks. And there are 3 principles, simple but profound, that help you channel this power so it can shape your reality in ways that heal, rather than harm. These principles aren't just concepts to think about. They are practices to live. They are the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between potential and manifestation. Coherence, the power of alignment. Imagine sunlight streaming through a window. The light is warm and beautiful, but scattered. It fills the room, yet it doesn't ignite anything. Now imagine holding a magnifying glass under that same sunlight. When the light is focused, it becomes so powerful, it can set a fire. Your energy works the same way. When your thoughts say one thing, your emotions feel another. Your beliefs pull in a different direction, and your actions go somewhere else entirely. Your power is scattered. You may feel drained, restless, or stuck because all parts of you are moving in different directions. Coherence is when your mind, heart, body, and spirit are aligned. When they're speaking the same language, heading toward the same vision. In this state, your energy stops leaking and starts concentrating, like that focused beam of sunlight. And when you are coherent, you don't just influence your reality, you reshape it. This doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice of returning to yourself again and again. It's pausing when you feel scattered and asking, what part of me is out of alignment? What do I truly believe here? What feels true in my body? Each time you bring yourself back into harmony, you gather your energy into one powerful stream. Resonance, the secret language of the universe. We've been taught to believe that life is a battle. We're told to fight for what we want, to push harder, to never give up. But when you live only in that state of constant effort, it's like trying to shout at a radio to change the station, no matter how loud you yell. It doesn't work. Resonance is something very different. It's the quiet recognition that everything in the universe is vibration. Your thoughts vibrate. Your emotions vibrate. Your very being is like a song being broadcast into the field around you. When the frequency inside you matches the frequency of what you desire, you don't have to force it to happen. Reality shifts naturally. The way 2 tuning forks hum in harmony. when they're in tune with one another. Think about the times in your life when everything seemed to flow effortlessly. Opportunities appeared at just the right moment. The right people showed up. Doors opened without you having to knock. That wasn't luck. That was resonance. It was your inner state aligning perfectly with the reality you were ready to receive. This is why deep inner work matters so much. When you shift your inner frequency by healing old wounds, by raising your level of presence, by living in alignment with love instead of fear, the outer world begins to respond differently. Life stops feeling like a battle and begins to feel like a dance. Embodiment, becoming the living expression. The third principle is perhaps the most misunderstood, yet the most essential embodiment. We live in a culture that worships ideas. We read books, listen to teachings, repeat affirmations, all of which can be helpful. But if those ideas stay only in your mind or your heart, they remain just that, ideas. True transformation happens when you live what you know, when your awareness flows through your body, into your breath, your choices, your presence. It's the difference between knowing about love and actually being love in the way you move through the world. Embodiment means that every cell of your being is engaged in your truth. Your words reflect it. Your actions express it. Even your stillness carries it. This is where power stops being abstract and becomes tangible. Because when you embody your truth, people don't just hear your words, they feel them. Reality itself begins to rearrange around the frequency you are radiating. The dance of the three principles, these three principles, coherence, resonance, and embodiment, work together like a cycle. Coherence gathers and focuses your energy. Resonance tunes that energy to the frequency of what you wish to create, and embodiment brings it into physical form through your daily life. When you live this way, you no longer need to control or force outcomes. You simply become the clearest, truest version of yourself, and the world responds accordingly. This is the quiet revolution of inner power, not fighting, not grasping, but aligning, not proving, but allowing, not just thinking about change, but being the change. And when you practice these principles, your power stops being wild and scattered. It becomes steady, intentional, and creative, like a river flowing effortlessly toward the sea, carving new pathways not by force, but by its unwavering presence. 6. Conscious courage, the strength to be who you truly are. There is a kind of courage that most people never talk about. It's not the adrenaline-fueled bravery you see in movies, where someone charges into battle or leaps into danger without a second thought. It's quieter than that, gentler, and far more difficult. This is the courage it takes to live fully as yourself, to stand in the truth of who you are, even when the world doesn't understand, to walk a path that has never been walked before, with no map to guide you, only the steady rhythm of your own heartbeat. For many years, I misunderstood courage. I thought it meant pushing past fear by sheer force of will, pretending to be fearless, when inside I was trembling. I thought being brave meant never showing weakness, never letting anyone see the cracks in my armor. But life has a way of humbling us, stripping away the illusions we cling to. And what I discovered through my own struggles is this: true courage isn't about having no fear. It's about meeting your fear with awareness and still choosing to move forward. Conscious courage begins with a decision to be real, a decision to stop hiding behind the masks you've worn to fit in, to be accepted, to stay safe. Because the truth is, every time you deny your authentic self, a little piece of your soul grows dimmer. And after a while, you can feel it, the weight of living someone else's life, following someone else's rules. It takes extraordinary courage to say, no more. To say, I will no longer abandon myself to keep others comfortable. But this kind of courage doesn't roar. It doesn't need to. It's the quiet strength that rises inside you when you know, deep down, what is true. It's the soft but unshakable voice that says, "I will not betray my own soul," standing in truth, even when misunderstood. One of the hardest things you will ever do is stand firm in what you know is right for you, especially when others don't understand. There will be times when people misinterpret your choices, when they question your motives or criticize your path. They might even call you selfish, reckless, or unrealistic. And in those moments, your old self may want to shrink back, to explain yourself, to convince them. But conscious courage asks something different of you: to stay rooted in your truth without needing to justify it. To remember that other people's perception of you is not your responsibility. Their misunderstanding does not define your reality. It's not easy. Sometimes, it feels like standing in the middle of a storm while everyone around you demands that you move. But the storm passes, and what remains is your integrity, intact and unbroken. Every time you stand firm in your truth, you strengthen the foundation beneath your feet. Daring to be different. We live in a world that celebrates sameness. From a young age, we are taught how to blend in, how to meet expectations, how to stay within the lines. But the path of authenticity is rarely a well-lit highway. It's more like a narrow trail through an unmarked forest, full of twists and turns that others can't see. Daring to be different doesn't mean rebelling for the sake of rebellion. It means being willing to honor your unique frequency, your particular way of experiencing life. It means choosing to listen to the quiet inner compass that says, "This is who I am," even when no one else hears it yet. Yes, it can be lonely at times. There will be moments when you feel like a traveler in a strange land, speaking a language others don't yet understand. But remember this: every pioneer feels alone at first. And yet, by walking that uncharted path, you make it visible for those who come after you. Your courage to be different gives others permission to do the same. What begins as your personal act of bravery becomes a collective awakening, walking the path that isn't yet built. Perhaps the most profound act of conscious courage is this: to walk a path that doesn't exist yet, to step into the unknown, guided only by the feeling in your heart and the resonance in your soul. There will be no signposts, no clear directions, and often, no external validation. Others may tell you you're lost. They may point to the familiar roads and urge you to follow them. But if you've ever felt the quiet certainty of your inner guidance, you know the truth sometimes. The road you're meant to walk is the one you must build with each step. Every time you take a step forward, you create a new path. Every time you trust that inner frequency, you carve a trail through the wilderness of the collective mind. And though it may be difficult at first, one day you'll turn around and see how far you've come, and you'll realize that your courage has made the way visible for others. The gentle power of conscious courage. Conscious courage is not about being fearless. It's about being fully present with your fear and still saying, "I choose to move forward." It's not loud or dramatic. It doesn't need applause or recognition. It is steady, quiet, and deeply rooted, like the roots of a great tree that weather every storm. When you live with conscious courage, you stop seeking approval from the outside world. You stop measuring your worth by how many people agree with you or how many understand you. Instead, you begin to live in harmony with your own inner truth, and that harmony radiates outward, touching everyone around you. And perhaps, without even realizing it, your presence becomes an invitation for others to find their own courage. Because when one person dares to live authentically, it creates ripples in the collective field. One act of conscious courage can light the way for countless others. So, take a deep breath, feel your feet on the ground, and remember the path may be uncertain, but you are not lost. The very fact that you are here, listening to the quiet truth within you, is proof that you already carry everything you need to walk forward, one courageous step at a time. 7. Your role in the evolution of the collective. There comes a point on this journey where you begin to realize that healing was never just about you. Yes, it starts within with your pain, your wounds, your struggles. It begins with the nights you cried alone, the days you doubted yourself, the heavy moments when you wondered if you would ever feel whole again. In those moments, the work feels deeply personal, like you're fighting a private battle no one else can see. But as you move through the darkness, something shifts. You begin to notice that every choice you make, every breath you take, ripples outward far beyond what you can see. Like a single drop of water falling into a still pond, your inner world sends waves into the collective ocean of humanity. And suddenly, you understand your healing is not just yours. It belongs to all of us. Choosing love over fear every day. Life offers you a choice. It may not always look dramatic, in fact. It often appears in the smallest, quietest moments. The choice is this: will you respond with love, or will you react with fear? Fear is seductive because it feels safe. It whispers to you to stay small, to protect yourself, to trust no one. Fear builds walls, convincing you that separation is security. But the truth is, fear only creates more of itself. When you act from fear, you send a vibration into the world that adds to the collective weight we all feel. Love, on the other hand, is expansive. It opens doors instead of closing them. It softens your body, your heart, your words. And every time you choose love, even when it's difficult, even when it's inconvenient, you are raising the frequency of the entire human field. You might think your one small act of kindness doesn't matter, but it does, because love multiplies. It travels through people like a quiet current, shifting energies in ways you may never witness. When you forgive someone instead of holding a grudge, you free not just yourself, but them as well. When you offer compassion instead of judgment, you create a space where healing can happen for both of you and for anyone who witnesses it. These moments are invisible revolutions, tiny turning points that ripple out into the collective and plant seeds for a new way of being. The power of small actions. We often imagine change as something grand: protests, revolutions, dramatic speeches. And yes, those moments have their place. But lasting transformation begins in far quieter ways. It begins when you speak gently to someone who is hurting, instead of adding to their pain. It begins when you pause before reacting, choosing to respond from awareness rather than from old patterns. It begins when you see the humanity in someone society has labeled as other. These choices may seem small, but think of them like threads being woven into a massive tapestry. Each thread alone doesn't seem like much, but together, they create a picture so vast, it can transform the entire world. You may never see the full impact of your actions, but they matter. They are part of a larger story unfolding, one that connects you to every other being on this planet, becoming the bridge. Right now, the world is in a state of transition. We are standing at a threshold between what has been and what could be. On one side, there are old systems built on fear, scarcity, and separation. On the other, there is the possibility of a future built on compassion, abundance, and connection. You, my friend, are the bridge between these two worlds. Every time you heal a piece of yourself, you are clearing the path for others to walk across. Every time you choose to live in alignment with love rather than fear, you are building that bridge plank by plank. And even if you feel small or insignificant, you are part of something much larger than you can imagine. You don't have to fix the whole world. You don't have to carry everyone's burdens. You simply have to tend to your own light and let it shine so clearly that it helps others find their way. When enough of us do this, the entire field shifts. It's like a flock of birds in flight. At first, they seem to move chaotically, each bird flapping on its own. But then, all at once, The entire flock changes direction, as if moved by a single invisible thread. This is what happens when enough individuals awaken. The collective changes effortlessly, naturally, as if by magic, though it is not magic. But resonance, the sacred responsibility. This is why your personal work matters so deeply. Your healing is not selfish. Your growth is not just for you. When you rise, you lift the field around you. When you heal, you create a template of possibility for others to heal as well. So the next time you feel discouraged, the next time you wonder if your choices make a difference, remember this: somewhere, someone is watching you live with integrity. Somewhere, someone is inspired by your quiet courage. Somewhere, someone feels less alone because you chose to be real, to be kind, to be present. You are not just an individual on a solitary path. You are part of a great, unfolding movement, a collective awakening that spans generations, cultures, and lifetimes. And as you keep choosing love over fear, moment by moment, you become the bridge from what the world has been to what it has always longed to become. Your presence is the doorway, your heart is the key, and your courage to keep showing up is the gift that helps us all cross over into a new reality. 8. Discovering your power through stillness. When we think of strength, we often imagine something loud, visible, and forceful. We picture raised voices, bold movements, dramatic gestures. The world celebrates this kind of power, the kind that shakes the ground and demands to be seen. But over time, I've come to understand that true strength often reveals itself in the opposite way. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it is so quiet that you can only feel it in the space between breaths. There is a kind of power that lives in stillness. It is not about doing more, proving more, or pushing harder. It's about pausing long enough to truly listen to yourself, to life, to the quiet hum of the universe that's always been there beneath the noise. For much of my life, I misunderstood this. I equated stillness with weakness. I believed that if I stopped moving, stopped striving, everything would fall apart. Like many of us, I was caught in the belief that my worth was tied to my productivity, my action, my constant effort to control outcomes. But then came moments that forced me to stop, losses that left me breathless, challenges that stripped me of everything familiar. In those times, there was nothing left to do. All I could do was sit with myself, with my pain, with the silence I had been avoiding for so long. At first, the stillness felt unbearable. It was like staring into a vast, empty space where every fear, every doubt, every buried emotion rose to the surface. I wanted to run. I wanted to fill the space with noise, distraction, anything to avoid feeling what was there. But slowly, as I stayed, something began to shift. Beneath the noise of my mind, beneath the turbulence of my emotions, I started to sense something deeper. It wasn't dramatic or overwhelming. It was subtle, like a soft pulse, a quiet rhythm, holding everything together. And then I realized this is where true power lives. Not in my ability to control or fight or achieve, but in my capacity to simply be present, the quiet strength of presence. There's a profound strength that comes from sitting still and allowing yourself to feel. It takes courage to sit with your own heart, to let your body tremble with unspoken grief, to breathe through waves of fear without running away. This kind of courage doesn't look heroic on the outside, but inside, it is nothing short of revolutionary. When you are fully present, you begin to notice the subtleties that are usually drowned out by the noise of daily life. You start to sense the delicate vibrations moving through you, the way your body responds to certain thoughts, the way your breath shifts with certain emotions, the way life itself seems to communicate through quiet sensations. This is how the universe speaks to us, not through shouts and demands, but through whispers, and only in stillness can you hear it. True strength, then, is not about overpowering the world, but about aligning with it. It is the ability to stay grounded in the midst of chaos, to meet uncertainty with calm presence, to remain open, even when everything in you wants to close. This is the kind of power that cannot be taken from you, because it doesn't depend on circumstances, it comes from your very being, the still point that guides you. Imagine standing in the center of a spinning wheel. At the edges, everything is moving fast, chaotic, and noisy. But at the very center, there is perfect stillness. Life is much the same. When you live only on the outer edges, caught up in drama, fear, and external expectations, you're constantly thrown around by forces beyond your control. But when you return to the center, to that place of stillness within you, you find clarity. From there, you can see the movement without being consumed by it. You can sense the direction life is asking you to go without forcing it, without rushing. This is why pausing is so vital. When you stop and simply be, you begin to feel the subtle guidance that is always present. It might come as a quiet knowing, a gentle nudge, a moment of peace in the middle of turmoil. And when you trust that guidance, you move through life with grace rather than strain. The essence of true power. So many of us are taught to chase external markers of power: titles, possessions, recognition. We think that if others see us as powerful, we will finally feel whole inside. But the truth is, the most profound power doesn't need to be seen at all. It is not performance. It is not noise. It is a quiet presence that radiates from within. You've probably felt it in others before, the way someone can walk into a room and bring a sense of calm without saying a word. Their stillness speaks louder than any speech or action ever could. That's the power you are capable of embodying. It doesn't come from striving to be strong. It comes from allowing yourself to be exactly where you are, fully and honestly. In this moment, when you discover this, you realize you don't need to chase life anymore. You don't need to force it, control it, or fight against it. You simply need to meet it with open eyes, open hands, and an open heart. And in that sacred stillness, you'll see what has been true all along. You are already whole. You are already powerful. And the essence of that power is simply your pure, unshakable presence. 9. The world needs you to shine as you truly are. There is a quiet pain that comes from hiding yourself. You may know it well, that ache in your chest when you bite back your truth. That heaviness in your body when you pretend to be smaller than you are, just to keep the peace. For so long, many of us have been taught to dim our light, to fit in, to not be too much. We learn to silence our voices, to smooth our edges, to carefully package ourselves into something the world would accept. But the truth is, the world doesn't need more people who have learned to disappear. It doesn't need more conformity or quiet compliance. What this world desperately needs is your authentic frequency, the one-of-a-kind vibration that only you can bring. You see, every time you choose to shrink, every time you hide, the collective loses a piece of its brilliance. It's like a vast tapestry missing its most vibrant thread. Your presence is not an accident. It is a vital part of the pattern of life itself. And when you withhold it, the whole design remains incomplete. The illusion of safety in playing small. For years, I believed that staying small was safer. I thought that if I kept my head down, if I didn't make waves, I could avoid rejection, judgment, and pain. But playing small comes at a great cost. It may protect you from external conflict for a while, but inside, it begins to hollow you out. You start to feel disconnected, not just from others, but from yourself. The irony is, hiding doesn't actually keep you safe. It simply trades one kind of pain for another, the pain of never truly being seen, of never truly being known. And over time, that pain grows heavier than any judgment you might face. by standing fully in your truth. The world has conditioned you to believe that your light might blind others, that your strength might intimidate them, that your truth might cause disruption. And maybe it will at first. But what if that disruption is exactly what's needed to break through the walls that keep us collectively stuck? Cracks in the collective wall. Imagine the collective consciousness as a vast, solid wall built over centuries, layer upon layer of fear, limitation, and old stories about what is possible. Most people live pressed up against this wall, never questioning it, never realizing that life could be more expansive on the other side. Each time you choose to expand, rather than contract, you create a tiny crack in that wall. Every act of authenticity, every moment you speak your truth, every step you take toward living fully is like sunlight seeping through those cracks. And here's the beautiful part. When others see that light, something stirs within them. They begin to remember their own power, their own possibility. Your courage becomes a silent invitation, saying, "Look, there is more than this. You are more than you've been told." The changes may seem small at first, almost invisible, but over time, enough cracks appear, and the wall begins to crumble. What once felt like a prison becomes a gateway to freedom, not just for you, but for everyone connected to you. Your presence as a catalyst. This is why your presence matters more than you realize. It's not just about what you do, but who you are being. When you embody your truth, you give others silent permission to do the same. Think about the last time you were around someone who was unapologetically themselves. Maybe they didn't try to impress anyone or fit into any mold. They simply radiated ease, authenticity, and presence. Didn't it awaken something inside you? Didn't it make you feel like maybe, just maybe, you could exhale and be more of yourself too? This is the ripple effect of authenticity. Your willingness to shine creates a field where others feel safe to shine too. You don't have to convince them with words or force them to change. Your energy does the work silently, simply by being what it is. The world's quiet request right now. The world is aching for people who are willing to be fully alive. It's easy to look at the chaos and pain around us and feel helpless. But here's what I've learned. Collective healing doesn't start with massive, sweeping movements. It begins with individuals who choose to show up authentically. One breath, one moment at a time. When you choose expansion over contraction, when you choose love over fear, you're not just changing your own life, you're shifting the field for all of us. You're like a tuning fork, setting a new frequency that others can resonate with, even if they don't understand why they feel different around you. The world is not asking you to save it. It's asking you to be fully yourself, to stand as a living reminder of what is possible when a human being chooses to embody their light completely. The invitation. So, the next time you feel the urge to hide, pause and remember this: the world doesn't benefit from your absence. It longs for your presence, your truth, your gifts. Your very essence are needed here. Now, in this moment of history, not in some perfect, polished form, but exactly as you are, messy, tender, real. When you shine as your truest self, you don't just light your own path. You light the path for countless others who are still finding their way through the dark. And maybe, just maybe, your courage to be fully seen will inspire someone else to whisper to themselves, "If they can shine, so can I." This is how the world changes, not all at once, but one authentic, radiant soul at a time. And it begins with you, the moment to rise. There comes a moment in every life when the path splits in two. One road leads back into the familiar, into the comfort of blending in, of hiding your light, of moving quietly with the crowd. The other road leads toward the unknown, toward full expression, full presence, full truth. This moment is now, and the choice is yours. You can keep pretending you're just another face in the crowd. keeping your brilliance tucked safely out of sight. You can play the part you've been given, nod along with the expectations of others, and convince yourself that invisibility is easier than risk. Or, you can rise. You can stand tall in the truth of who you are, daring to shine with everything you've been given. The universe responds to vibration. Here's something I've learned, not from books or teachings, but through the raw experience of living. The universe does not respond to the words you say. It responds to the frequency you embody. You can speak affirmations all day long, but if beneath those words, your heart is filled with doubt or fear, that is the message you're truly sending out into the field. Life is like a mirror. It reflects not what you wish for, but what you are. When you fully embody your strength and your love, reality has no choice but to adjust itself to match you. It's not magic, and it's not a trick. It's resonance. The same way a single tuning fork can make another vibrate, the energy you hold inside shapes the energy around you. This is why the inner work matters so deeply. When you become clear, coherent, and whole, you create ripples that extend far beyond your own life. Without ever raising your voice, without ever forcing anything, you shift the very fabric of reality simply by being who you truly are. The world is waiting. Look around. Humanity is at a crossroads. So many are lost in fear, caught in cycles of division and scarcity, forgetting that there is another way. And in this moment of collective darkness, the world is desperately longing for light. Not the kind of light that comes from perfection or performance, but the authentic glow of a human being fully alive. The kind of light that shines from someone who has faced their own shadows and emerged whole. The kind of light that whispers, "There is hope. There is more than this." That light is yours. The unique frequency you carry, your essence, your gifts. Your presence cannot be replaced by anyone else. If you hide it, the world will always feel just a little more incomplete, like a song missing its final note. Do not underestimate how needed you are. Your very being is medicine for others. Your courage to stand in your truth becomes a permission slip for those who are still afraid. Your choice to rise today may be the spark that ignites a fire in someone else tomorrow. The time to shine is now. This is not a someday thing. This is not about waiting for perfect conditions or for the right people to understand you. If you wait for the world to be ready, you'll wait forever. The time is now. Now is the moment to stop wasting your strength on hiding. Now is the moment to let go of the old stories that told you you were too much or not enough. Now is the moment to step fully into the truth of who you are, and to let that truth reshape the reality around you. And remember, you do not have to be loud to be powerful. Your presence alone, when it is rooted in love and clarity, can shake the very foundations of the world. The most profound transformations don't come from noise and chaos, they come from pure, unwavering consciousness, moving silently through the collective field. Rebirth through presence. When you rise into your full light, something extraordinary happens. The world doesn't just change, it rebirths itself. Every step you take in authenticity plants seeds for a new way of living, a new way of relating, a new way of being, and those seeds grow, even in places you cannot see. So today, I invite you to stop hiding, to stop pretending, to stop deluding yourself for the sake of comfort or approval. Be the vibration of truth. Be the presence of love. Be the living reminder of what is possible when a single soul chooses to shine fully. Because when you step into the fullness of who you are, you don't just light up your own path, you light the way for us all. And in that light, reality itself trembles and is born anew.